man who sold this I will have when I have more convenience, so I will call for thee. But Felix did not have a second chance. Review in Herald, August 1, 1893. Shall the Lord be compelled to say, pray not thou for these people, neither lift up nor cry for them, neither make intercession for me, for I will not hear thee. Therefore the showers have been withholden, and there hath been no rain. So in 1893 until now, and in 1901, until now, what happened? There will be no latter rain, no Holy Spirit to be poured to the organization because they closed and bolted the door for the spirits in trance. They are praying for the Spirit to come, but the Lord will not give it to them. Okay. In Review and Herald, March 1884, remember that Sunday worship is the what? Climax of apostasy. There is a need of Sabbath reform among us, for who profess to observe God holy rest day. The Lord has a controversy with his professed people in these last days. In this controversy, men in responsible position will take a course direct opposite to that pursued by Nehemiah. They will not only ignore and despise the Sabbath themselves, but they will try to keep it from others by burying it beneath the rubbish of custom and tradition. In churches, in large gathering, in open air, minister will urge upon the people the necessity of keeping the first day of the week. There are calamities on the sea and the land, and these calamities will increase, one disaster following close upon another, and the little band of conscientious Sabbath keepers will be pointed out as the ones who are bringing the wrath of God upon the world by this disregard of Sunday. So in the last days, the ministers of the Seventh-day Adventists will urge upon the people the necessity of keeping the first day of the week. But there will be a little band of company of people who will continue to keep the Sabbath of the Lord. These people here are the ones that Revelation 12 verse 7 says, keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Again, in Signs of the Times, January 17, 1884, these two quotations are written in 1884. One is January, one is March. Men in responsible position will not only ignore and despise the Sabbath themselves, but from the sacred days will urge upon the people the observance of the first day of the week, pleading tradition and custom on behalf of this man-made institution. They will point to the calamities on the land and the sea, to the storms of wind and floods and earthquake, the destruction by fire, as judgment indicating God's displeasure because Sunday is not sacredly observed. These calamities will increase more and more. One disaster will follow close upon the heels of another, and those who make void the law of God will point to the few who are keeping the Sabbath of the fourth commandment as the ones who are bringing wrath upon the world. This falsehood is Satan's device that he may ensnare the unwary. So to those people inside the churches who trust their pastor, they are not listening to reading what the Bible is telling them, will be ensnared because they're not reading their Bibles. Okay, here is a picture of Sunday services. It's Easter Sunday worship of the Seventh-day Adventists, but eventually this is just a Sunday evening. But in some other churches, they go to the beaches as well in Hallidale before, and they watch for the sun to rise and start worshiping. We were there in person as they were worshiping. In Review and Herald, January 11, 1887, here we see the church, the Lord's sanctuary, was the first to feel the stroke of the wrath of God. The ancient men, those to whom God hath given great light and who had stood as guardians of spiritual interest of the people, had betrayed their trust. So, but ancient men, betraying their trust. So people who are trying to trust the pastors, sorry for them. This shows that we must not look for men. For example, we need to stay our faith upon God, for there is just before us a time that will try man's soul. So whoever would trust men, will be cursed by God. Jeremiah 17, verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, in whose heart departed from the Lord. Okay. In Testimonies to the Church, volume 5, page 212, there were once his faithful servant favored with his presence and guidance, but they departed from him and led others into errors. Therefore, they are brought under the divine displeasure. Okay. Those who had been regarded as worthy and righteous proved to be the leaders, ringleaders in apostasy, an example in indifference and in the abuse of God's mercy. So those who are leaders now, they are also leaders of apostasy. Okay, they will be the one who encourage people what? To worship the first day of the week. Great controversy, page 640, the enemies of God's law, from the minister down to the least among them, have a new conception of truth and duty. Too late, they see that the Sabbath of the fourth commandment is the seal of the living God. So remember, Capernaum is what? Like Seventh-day Adventists, because they were given by God a prophet, greater light. So Review and Herald, August 1, 1893. And thou, Capernaum, Seventh-day Adventists who have had great light, which are exalted unto heaven in point of privilege, shall be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works had been done in thee, had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom the day of judgment than for thee. So Sodom, SDA. Sodom, what was the sins of Sodom before the destruction? There were gays at night, trying to get the angels. What is happening with the Seventh-day Adventists? They are what? They have ministers who are gays. They are elders who are gays. They're female pastors, women ministers. And Elijah said unto them, take the prophet of Baal and let none of them escape. And they took them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook of Kishon and slew them. So all the prophets of Baal, false prophets, were slaughtered. And they began at the ancient men, which were before the house of God. So in Ezekiel, the same thing. The ancient men were slaughtered first by the men with the slaughtering weapon. Okay, Testimonies to the Church, volume 5, page 27. But there are limits even to the forbearance of God, and many are exceeding these boundaries. They have overrun the limits of grace, and therefore God must interfere and vindicate his honor. So this was written by Sister White to William Clarence White in 1905. She said, one thing is certain and soon to be realized. The great apostasy which is developing and increasing and waxing stronger will continue to do so until the Lord shall descend from heaven with a shout. So there is no turning back. It will be, the apostasy will just go on worse and worse until the Lord shall return from heaven or descend from heaven with a shout. The Spirit of God, which prompt reproof, is trampled underfoot, while the servants of Satan triumph. God is honored, the truth is made of none effect. Study the 9th chapter of Ezekiel. These words will be literally be fulfilled. Yet the time is passing and the people are asleep. They refuse to humble their souls and be converted, that a great while longer will the Lord bear with the people who have such great and important truth revealed to them, but who refuse to bring this truth into their individual experience. The time is short. God is calling. Will you hear? Will you receive his message? Will you be converted before it's too late? Soon, very soon, every case will be decided for eternity. That ends our study tonight, and may God bless everyone.